Okay. Any other comments? Okay, we close public comments. We're going to call you now after we discuss certain items. Okay, I have here we're going to open the discussion for the key for Donald Trump. Any comments or any move to this?
Motion to approve.
Any second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, I have discussion, sir. Thank you.
The public comment first.
Comments and
No?
I will call you when you're going to talk about the key because it says just a key. Okay, I'll call you after the discussion. Thank you.
I'm going to keep my comments.
I'm sorry, if I may, Councilwoman. Mr. Mayor, you certainly, as chair, have prerogative to convene the meeting however you see appropriate. Unless you're going to provide public comment, and public comments should be made during public comments unless there's a hearing, unless you're going to provide for public comment for that item. Just for the future, just to be clear, so that the public knows.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to keep my comments very brief because obviously this council has made up its mind. I find it very disturbing that this wasn't even circulated to council 5 minutes before the meeting. It was placed up here on this dais to be discussed when this agenda has been published for over a week now. I'm not going to be supportive of it for many reasons that many of you already know. I think that investments made in the city by business owners should be well recognized, but I think that favoritizing one business over another is not good public policy. We encourage investments into our city. I think that investments are important and make the city what it is. But I think that when you identify one business owner and applaud it over another, it sets a bad example. I think that the residents deserve keys to the city because they're the ones that footed the bill to come for the Miss Universe pageant to come to this city. So I won't be supportive of it. I'm not going to make any more comments on it. I'll let the voters decide when it's time.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, sorry. Because first and foremost, we've been working at making the City of Doral a city of excellence, and our mission and our vision from the beginning has been to put the City of Doral at the forefront. We always talk about the decisions we make up here, that they should not be motivated by politics. So, I really would request that, and I'm not going to demand an apology, but I would really request that Councilwoman Fraga really not make this political. This is not political. So bringing in and just throwing in a final phrase of I'll let the voters decide. I was very pleased that we as a council managed to support Best Buddies. Best Buddies is an organization that is working closely with the city, where we have hired disabled adolescents to work. Let me not use disabled, limited. Let me just work this through our Special Olympics and special programming. We have been able to identify those particular members to actually be part of the Best Buddy program. So to not support a major Best Buddy fundraising event, I find it basically unacceptable. I had to be there for Best Buddies. I really did. To not support having people go to Baptist Hospital or other hospitals to visit the sick. I support visiting the hospitals and being with the sick. To not support meeting with our students and speaking to them, by all means, visiting our communities. I mean, this was more than just what occurred Sunday night, which, by the way, went over the top, and I'm looking forward to having management provide us a report. So at this time, there is a reason why I would support giving Mr. Trump and recognizing also the participation of Paula Sugar at this event. It's obviously a business. It's a business for many, but I know that we have recognized so many people over the last 13 years here at the City of Doral. So I really would like to keep it away from politics and focus on what actually occurred, which has been tremendous benefits to our city. So again, I'm not going to go into it either, but it is not politics. All right, it really certainly is not politics, and my campaign records can prove that. because I have not received any funding from that organization. I stand here truly believing that we're doing the right thing.
Mr. Mayor. When the key was offered, or was talked about a couple weeks ago, I said support it. And when the decision by council was made to support the Miss Universe, which by the way is separate to the key to Mr. Trump, even though it's partially part of it, I was on the council, and when I got elected, I came on council and said that based on the information I was aware of at the time the decision was made, I would not have been supportive of it. I didn't feel, and I put out a press statement to this effect. This is a fact today. I didn't feel that it merited. I couldn't feel on the merits of the Miss Universe. I felt that possibly the brand of Trump had a longer term effect or positive effect on our community in every respect. Separating it, I know a lot of people have an issue with what's going on with the trees. It's two separate issues. And on that note, the Trump organization the resort is trying to work with the residents to find solutions. And I'm very aware of that, firsthand awareness of it. But when I said I wouldn't support the Miss Universe, and I can tell you that the last 3 weeks have been amazing for our city. I'm a founder of this city. I've worked very hard for 10 years of my life, devoting thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of my time to the city. And I've served on the council for 9.5 years. And the day that I was sitting at the welcome event, that the contestants were parading and coming up and saying hello to Doral in their languages. And I remember that night feeling chills and think I've never been prouder of our city. And as the 3 weeks unveiled and saw the eyes of the world upon us, and I love this community, I think it's an amazing city. And the night of the event, the main event, I don't know how many of you watched it, but if you saw the clips that was not advertising, that was part of the programming where the City of Doral was featured to over 600 million people around the world. It was amazing. And the world got to find out about what Doral. I don't know if there's a price I could put on that. Separate from Mr. Trump's investment of $300 million, which is not just a regular investment. It's an investment that has elevated the name and branding of our city. And other business owners have gotten keys. Mr. Feldenkrais from Perry Ellis has received the key. In fact, he received, I believe, the first, has a street name that he received the very first key to the city as a business owner. So Mr. Trump has come in, has invested in our city. The investment of a resort that's the cornerstone of our community had been, since the Cascal family had left, had actually been going downhill. It had been bought by Real Estate Investment Trust, and they had not reinvested in it because they had no pride of ownership. And Mr. Trump came back and brought it back to the world-class resort it was at one time. That's a significant investment that increases the property values. I don't know if we've done the estimate yet, but I would guesstimate somewhere in the range of $500,000 a year that otherwise would have never gotten. So beyond that, he came in and had the confidence and the belief in our city to be able to be the host to the Miss Universe. And the Miss Universe, one of my concerns was that we wouldn't get the attention, that the attention would go to South Beach and everywhere else, and they didn't. They had the integrity to keep the focus on Doral, and 90% of their events were held here in Doral, and we shined around the world. To me, it's a moment of living history. To me, I believe Mr. Trump's confidence, and in spite of numerous insults that he's received from many people, I think he's more than deserving of a key. And I thank him for his participation in our community, and hope that many more people come to our community and do the same thing for us. So,
thank you. I have some comments, if I may. I just want to add to that. First of all, thank you so much for understanding. But I've been living here in this country for 26 years in the same house, and as you said, Councilman Cabrera, I have seen the downhill of this resort so many times already that now that I see a person that has invested so much in this city, and also with the premise that he's promising, or he's saying that he's thinking about moving the whole corporate office to Doral, it should be something that we should feel proud of. And the way that our city, like I said before, bright in the whole world, not only 8 million people saw the pageant, but also almost 600 million people saw this event. I think it's more than worth to recognize a person that is putting his eyes and his investment in our beautiful city, that I don't hesitate now to recognize that effort from a person and the group of people, because this is a real organization that is working behind not only one person, but the whole organization. I want to thank you for my colleagues for supporting me in this petition, but I think it's needed. I would like to call the order, the question, please.
Mr. Mayor, I think I have the opportunity to respond for.
Calling the question.
Well, the question takes precedence since every council member, unless Councilwoman Rodriguez wants to speak, so long as every council member is afforded at least one opportunity to speak afterwards, the call of the question takes precedence.
You have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. First of all, I just want to say that I know you had, I guess, a couple or 2 or 3 weeks ago, you had made the intention that you wanted to do the key to the city, and I know there were a lot of critics out there that weren't supportive of the key and whatnot, but I think that we need to look at each issue separately. And I know that there's issues with the trees, and I know that there's different issues, but the fact that 600 million people were watching our city, I know they were watching the pageant, but the fact that our city was showcased in the way that it was, the image that was given to the world of Doral, the fact that and I've said this to the press, I've said it before, I know the city paid 2.5 million, but the value of what we got in exchange for that supersedes it. It's exponentially greater than what we paid. And not to mention when all the reports are said and done with all the sponsorship monies that were collected, we did not end up paying what was initially what we had committed to. So that's a separate issue. But the fact remains that we have a person here that has invested in our city, like you said, $300 million in a property that was, I don't want to say it was dilapidated, but I guess you could say it was heading toward dilapidation. This is the keystone property of our city. I mean, this is the largest, most, I don't want to say it's the most important, because I think everyone is important and all of our residents and all of our businesses are important because they've invested in our city. But this is the largest financial investment that I think has been made in the history of Doral.
Our namesake.
And it's named after our city. So having said that, and the fact that the resort, I mean, apart from the resort, but the fact that this pageant took place in our city, and the fact that I think that Mr. Trump is considering moving his world headquarters to our city, I mean, then that's not even something to be considered. The fact that the Miss Universe pageant was something that made such a tremendous impact in our community, and not just in Doral, but in South Florida and in Miami-Dade County, I think merits a recognition. I definitely will support it.
I have a point of clarification that I'd
I would like to call the question.
Well, I'd like a point of.
I'm ready.
I'd like a point of clarification,
Mr. Attorney?
because I think that. I mean, I could possibly change my
calling
mind
the
here
question,
because
please,
there's-
if we
The
can.
point of clarification, if it's procedural, is an intervening motion. But she can ask a question.
There
If
is
it's
a question on the table.
but I'm asking for a point of clarification, which supersedes that.
It's an intervening motion based if it's procedural.
Procedural. So the key to the city, what is it for? What are we giving this key to the city for? Because many of you have mentioned the Miss Universe organization, but the key to the city is being given to Donald Trump personally. So I'd like a point of clarification. Also, there's been some statements made which go in line with the key to the city and why we're giving the key to the city as far as investments made in the city and the value of that investment in our city. I pulled up real quick Miami-Dade County, Miami-Dade.gov property search, and this is public record. And I'll make it public record as well. 2012, the property, Trump, the Trump National Doral. This is part of. Yes, it is. This is part of clarification. I mean, I should be able to ask my question.
That's not a procedural clarification.
Absolutely, it is. I need to make a decision based on this key. And you all have made statements on why we're giving the key. I might change my mind if you can convince me to. In 2012, the property was assessed at $61 million.
Excuse me, point of order. I'm sorry, Councilman Fraga. This is not a procedural question. This is a debate question.
Councilman Cabrera, then I refer to the attorney because he just said it's procedural. I'm placing my question so that it could be answered. Allow me to place my question.
Respectfully, Councilwoman, procedural in nature means a question as to the procedure, whether it's a part of the question, a part of the vote.
This is a part of the question, a part of the vote, Mr. City Attorney.
I don't want to be an arbitrator of the debate. That's certainly the chair's responsibility.
I don't understand why I cannot finish
At this point, I would like to call the
comment.
question.
And I believe that every council member should have the opportunity to speak twice to be able to. There was allegations made.
There is a question on the table. I would like to
it
call
was
the
asked
question.
for an apology.
Okay, we have a second.
Well, then
Any
obviously you
discussion
guys
for the
don't want
question?
this on the record.
I
Because
would
in 2014, the property is now valued at $49 million. That is almost $500 million less than what it was valued at 2012. So
Madam
this
Clerk, please call the
investment,
question.
really, what are we doing here?
Motion to approve the key to city requested on.
Before we read the motion, all in favor to call in the question?
Aye.
Any name? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Motion to approve the key to the city request to Mr. Donald Trump made by Councilman Cabrera and seconded by Vice Mayor Ruiz. Councilman Cabrera?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilwoman
On
Fraga?
this.
No.
Mayor Boria?
Yes.
And Mayor, the motion passes.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please read the next item into the record.